Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Simple Songwriting. We are doing something a little different today. We're doing everybody's favorite band in the world, Nickelback. We are going to be talking about a song called Fight for All the Wrong Reasons, which was the second track off of that album. It came out in October 4th, or on October 4th, 2005. Um, yeah, so Nickelback's kind of a funky one. I have always been a bit of a Nickelback defender. Um, I know everybody just turned the video off right there, like, what the hell, dude? But no, I think Nickelback is like, they're a cool band. They're a very cool band. They're not like my favorite band or anything like that, not even in like my top 10, but they're a cool band. And I think that they're actually a little bit underrated. I think that it became such a meme to hate on them that they didn't quite get, like it became the meme, but then it's like they actually have some pretty solid songs. Anyway, for whatever reason, I felt like listening to some like mid 2000s butt rock at the gym the other day, and I went back to this album. So I've got a lot of nostalgia for this album. My mom played it in the car, I mean, basically all the time back then, like whenever I was in fourth, fifth grade. So I know most of the songs, like Photograph and If Everyone Cared. Like those were big songs for me growing up. So I went back to this album and just decided to give it another listen, almost like a little walk down memory lane. But what's so funny is I actually was pleasantly surprised. It's a pretty solid album, all things considered. Hold on. I'm just going to change my camera a little bit. Like, all things considered, pretty solid. What is my camera doing? Viewfinder inactive. Sorry, give me 1 second. I know, everything's going wrong. I'm losing all of you. Okay, so there we go. I think that's fixed. All right. So anyway, yeah, I was listening to it and I was like, damn, this is actually a pretty solid album. Like all things considered, like coming back to it with a more mature perspective, a little bit older. I was able to appreciate a lot of the more nuanced, like musical aspects of it, like, the different layers that they put on there and the chord progressions and more subtle things. And I'm not going to go into all the detail with it, but it was especially apparent, I think, on this song. And so this song in particular, this is called Fight for All the Wrong Reasons, which is sort of like a twist on the album title, because the album is called All the Right Reasons. Definitely just like small town, vibes of like whole kind of wholesome. It's a pretty wholesome album. I mean, what's funny about the album is that it's not trying to be bigger than it is. It's just, yep, we're small town band, we're making small town songs. Did you just talk to my girlfriend at the bar? Like that's what they made. That's what they wanted to write about, is stuff like that. And I think they nailed it. And so yeah, this song in particular, so what makes this song interesting was that my mom did not play this song, at least while I was in the car. I don't have any memories of this song, no nostalgia for it whatsoever. And I was pleasantly surprised. First time I heard it, I was like, wow, like this song is kind of a banger. Like, here's the thing. It's not like the greatest thing ever. I'm not trying to hype it up too much. It's maybe like an average to potentially like a slightly above average song, but there was just a lot of moments in this song where when I was listening to it for the first time and on re-listens, where I was like, that was really cool, that little thing that they just did there, or there's just cool moments. And when I decided, like, when I was thinking about, okay, I think it'd be cool to cover a Nickelback song for an episode, which song do I want to do? I was leaning towards, like Photograph or Saving Me, because those are much more popular songs, very iconic. But I was like, I think it'd be kind of cool to pick one that most people don't know and use that as a way to like point out some of the good things that they did, like smart things that they did. And again, we're not talking about like a masterpiece here, but I think that this song and really this album in general is a good example of like just following the rules of songwriting, like finding your theme, sticking with that theme, on all levels, like lyrically, musically, etc. I'm gonna have to, I don't know why it says viewfinder inactive. Hold on one second. I want to fix that. Y'all are gonna be here for the journey while I do it. Because I am not. I've noticed that if I try to restart an episode, it turns into a whole ass mess. So. Hold on. I know. It's okay. I'm only getting like 20 views right now for a video anyway, so it's like. One second, almost there. We're gonna get some ChatGPT help. It's not in active shooting live mode, easily standby power mode on the Canon. Put the camera in movie mode. Y'all get to see a little bit of my room. It is in movie mode, what the hell? Screwing it all up. It's all gone to shit. Can you believe it? I can't. All right. We're gonna see if that works. Oh, you guys can see my lights over there. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I know that that's just a little bit rude. And if you're listening on YouTube, my apologies. Okay, anyway, long story short, this is a song that I don't know, I didn't have nostalgia for, but I thought was very cool. And so we're going to jump in and we're just going to analyze it. And I think that hopefully y'all will walk away from it with maybe a little more appreciation for Nickelback, because, you know, they've gotten a bad rap. All right, let's just get started. All right, so cool. We jump right into this song. There is no like long extended intro or anything like that. It's all pretty, it's pretty quick. Like we get started pretty quick. And I know, I'm sorry, I'm messing with my camera again. The full band's playing. It's just got a big heavy riff. The drum beat is pretty cool. We got some like nice little snare. Yeah, the riff itself as a guitar riff, actually pretty cool. It like a pretty solid guitar riff. It's kind of, you know, again, it's not so crazy that like the normal person hears it and goes, oh, what's going on there? Like, or it's like too complex. I find that happens a lot with when I try to show people Dream Theater or a band like Dream Theater is that they start, you know, you play a little bit of it for them and they just kind of mentally check out. I can see it in their eyes. It's like, it's just too much. And not to say like, oh, they're stupid, but like a lot of people just aren't interested in stuff like that, where it's just way too much. It's too complicated. I don't know, whatever. I do think sometimes Dream Theater will overdo it, but my point being is that this is not like a Dream Theater type of riff. This is a very grungy, heavy riff. It is a little bit complicated, like some nice little rhythmic variations in there. And that's a da 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 down da na 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 na. So it's cool. Another thing worth noting, and this is very popular with a lot of bands, is that this is actually the chorus riff. So we've gotten a really cool, it's a short intro, you know, 10 seconds, but we actually established our chorus with it as well. So when we come back around to the chorus, we'll be familiar with the music. So it'll click with us a little bit better. That's very common. A lot of songs start off with the chorus just to get it familiarized for you. And yeah, that's what this riff kind of secretly does. So then we get into what I'm kind of calling the pre-verse. So yeah, at this point, we're just kind of, we don't know. Again, I like to go through the songs chronologically as if you're listening for the first time and you don't know anything about the song. And so in this case, it's like, okay, we know this is going to be a heavier song, or at least like it starts off heavier. So then we don't quite know where it's going yet though. So then we get what I'm calling the pre-verse. Okay, very different type of section, and one of my favorite sections. So I think the first time I heard this section, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like this is not what I was expecting, but this is very cool. And it establishes, it establishes a second side to this song, and I want to just maybe make a note of this. This song has two general conflicting themes to it, and this is both a lyrical thing and a musical thing, and I would even say a thematic element as well, is the conflict between these two different sides. On one side, you have the heavy, chaotic, grungy riff that we start the song off with, and then on the second side, you have a more dramatic, more reflective, that's the word that I keep coming back to, is reflective tone, where it sounds very like you're thinking, and it sounds deep, and again, dramatic is one way to put it, but it's very much it is not heavy and in your face. It is very much a different type of vibe. And as we get further into the song, you'll find that this applies very well to the lyrics too. And I think that's important to note, because I think sometimes people think, all right, well, I'm just going to write the music. The music's just going to be what it is, like heavy guitar riff, and then I'll sing about whatever the hell, it doesn't matter. But that's like not the way that songs are supposed to work. The music that you make for the song should actually match up with what the song is about and what you're singing about. And this is like really bad in metalcore, right? Where like someone will write a really dramatic song about their inner turmoil and like confusion, and then it's just generic, just heavy riff after heavy riff. And it's like, that's not actually what, I mean, it can, but it's when every single metalcore song has the same type of like metal heavy riff with dual guitar harmonies and stuff. It's like, are you really portraying like inner emotional turmoil as best as you can? It's a separate conversation. The point is that they do a good job in this song of having these two different sides to the music, and it actually matches up with the conflicting emotions of the narrator in the song's story. So let's listen to this again, and then I'm going to actually pick it apart a little bit, like section by section. Yeah, so, okay, first off, the guitars are doing a pretty cool little thing there. So on the right, you can really hear it in the right speaker. There is a rhythm guitar that's just going like, here, let me get the exact guitar part down, hold on. So I'm talking about the low guitar. And then in the left speaker, you can hear the higher pitched lead guitar, which actually has a delay on it. And that's kind of what I mean by like the reflective element. Like the sound is literally bouncing around like a reflection. I know that, but that's more of a, like a coincidence. I would say that is a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not really a coincidence that it would be called a reflection. It's just that sound actually does bring into your mind an image of like thoughtfulness, and like your brain is working a little bit. The delay has a dramatic song. That's why you hear it on like every U2 song, because U2 is a dramatic band, things like that. Anyway, on top of that, the drums are playing a pretty cool little beat. Nothing crazy, just a simple low-key beat. But the drums on this song all throughout are really good. In fact, Nickelback's drummer overall is a really solid drummer. Yeah, so nothing crazy there. The most notable part here is absolutely the vocals, though. I think obviously the guitar is playing these kind of consistent notes, and they're not playing octaves of each other. They're actually playing different parts, which they're following the same chord progression, but they're playing different parts, which kind of gives it this spacey sound without the vocals, without even talking about the vocals. Then you have the vocals come in, and this was what really surprised me on this song overall was they're pretty cool. They're like some pretty cool little layered harmonies. You don't usually hear this from a grunge or even like a rock band, right? I mean, you do hear vocal harmonies, but these types of like ambient vocal harmonies you usually hear from female artists, just because, you know, they usually sound a little bit more pleasant. And I think for a male artist to do something like this, it really there's a fine line between like, I don't know, sounding fucking gay and sounding like cool, and you know, that's the fine line. Like, you want it to sound pleasant, but you don't want to sound gay. The pleasant gay scale. That's the official scale. Anyway, the whole point is like it sounds cool the way that he did it. That tone that he chose and the vibe that he chose, it matches with the music really well. And it's not just a one-off too, as we'll see as we get into the song. He definitely builds on it. So yeah, anyway. Anything else on this section? No, that's pretty much it. You just got the two guitars. This is a precursor. A reason I called it the pre-verse is because this is essentially the same music that would be playing in the verse. The guitars just cut out. Aside from that, yeah, I think just what's notable about this section is that it's kind of like a little extra credit section. Like, they didn't need to do this. They probably could have gone straight from the heavy intro into the verse with the vocals. But again, this is why I wanted to bring up this song. They do these little extra credit things that actually benefit the song a lot. And I think it's important. Like, I think those are the types of things that add up, that, you know, every time you do a little thing like that, you just put a little extra effort into your song, those things add up pretty quick. And it shows that there was a lot of care put into this song and into this album. Overall, because the whole album's like this, where, you know, you might just listen casually and you're like, yeah, that's pretty cool, like, it's a fine album, whatever, look at this graph. But I think that you kind of miss a lot of the really like little things that you might not think about. Like, they specifically had to go out of their way to write a section like this and put it in, and it's worth giving them credit for. It really is. So yeah, let's keep going. So we get into the verse. All right, real quick. Just pausing for a second, and then we'll let it keep playing. Cool. So we have, it's a pretty lengthy verse. It's about 25 seconds, but it's split into two halves. So you've got right when the verse comes in, you have the vocals start before the beginning of the verse. So the vocals kind of bring us into it, and the guitar is just cut out, but drums and bass follow the same general pattern. Well, I wanted you. So let's talk about the lyrics first. So he says, well, I wanted you, I wanted no one else. I thought it through, I got you to myself. You got off every time you got onto me. I got caught up in favorable slavery. And then going into the chorus, it's like, it's not even really a pre-chorus, but it's like just a little pre-chorus bridge type thing where he says, was it wrong? Was it wrong? Kind of screams it. It's like a distorted vocal. We'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, the verse though, yeah, these lyrics are, so we now kind of get an introduction into like what this song is. So it's a relationship song, which we've heard a million times, and specifically kind of a toxic relationship song. Now it starts off a little bit, well, he says, I wanted you, I wanted no one else. I thought it through, I got you to myself. So right off the bat, it might come off, if you don't know the rest of the song, it might come off a little romantic, like I wanted you and no one else. All right. Obviously a relationship song, but then he says, I got you to myself. And that's like, all right, where's that going, you know? And then we get the guitar's coming back in for the second half of the verse, and we get a little more context. You got off every time you got on to me. I got up in favorable slavery. So now we get the twist on this song, which is that first off, it's raunchy. It's going to be a little bit of a raunchier song with, he's saying you got off every time you got onto me. Now that's a double entendre. Basically, I know I shouldn't need to explain, but basically either the girl gets on top of you or she's berating you, like she's talking down to you. And that's kind of the point. I mean, that is the conflict in the relationship, right? Like it is we'll wait until the chorus to really get into the nature of the relationship, but basically this is not a normal romantic, healthy relationship. There is, it is raunchy and she is getting on to him. And then he says, I got caught up in favorable slavery. So anyway, basically this is just about a toxic relationship. Long story short, nothing crazy here, but, well, let's talk about that later. I'll talk about that later. Anyway, nothing else to say about the music. The vocals are pretty cool though. The melody is nice. He does have something worth noting, because it comes into play later, is that they've got this distorted background vocal. It kind of echoes the primary vocal. Listen very closely. So he says, well, I wanted you. And then in the background, I wanted you. Check it out. Hear that? So pretty cool, because that little distorted vocal actually stays throughout the song. And yeah, here's that next section. Was it wrong? All right, so that little pre-chorus bridge actually is worth noting too, because that's a motif that they keep throughout the song. That dana 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 dana. It's very small, very short, but remember it. We're gonna come back to it. So yeah, overall, at this point in the song, we've established the two musical themes, which are basically a kind of heavy, grungy rockiness to it. Rock and riff, rock and roller coaster. What is it? Rocco, the rock and roll clown. Anyway, and then you get the second vibe of the song, which is a more reflective, introspective tone. Lyrically, he's describing a romantic relationship. He's actually reflecting on the romantic relationship, asking like, was it wrong? I got caught up. He's talking in the past tense. So he's thinking about it in the past, and we're gonna dive more into that in just a second, but it was definitely, the type of relationship where like she was getting on to him, and that could be either good or bad. So let's get into the chorus, and I think this will start to clear some stuff up. Cool. So chorus, pretty banger chorus overall. So yeah, this, let's talk about the vocal melody. So actually real quick, musically, this is the same thing as the intro. There is no change that I could pick out. There might be a slight drum change somewhere that I didn't notice, but for the most part, like that little snare roll is still there. So overall, I think this is, generally speaking, the exact same thing as the intro. So nothing new to talk about musically. So let's talk about the vocals. The vocal melody is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little, he basically has a melody that repeats twice. It starts with 2 long notes and then 2 kind of faster lines, and then a string of like rapid fire 8th notes to close it out. So here, listen to that melody. Then there's a so it's a pretty, like, vocally, it's a pretty demanding chorus. I mean, he's doing a lot. He's saying a lot. And yeah, the lyrics here. So anyway, that's pretty cool. There's also vocal harmonies going on all throughout this chorus. I forgot to mention, were there vocal harmonies in the verse? Yeah, there were. The verse has vocal harmonies. I forgot to mention that. Hold on. I got you to myself. You got off. You got off. You hear that down there? Anyway, okay, so coming back to the chorus. Yeah, he's harmonizing on almost this whole thing. No harmony there, actually. Cool. So the vocal melody is pretty cool, but the lyrics are what really matter here. So they essentially spell out the theme, which is a reflection of the toxic relationship that he was in and him just trying to figure out what happened. Again, this is not like mind-blowing stuff for songwriting, but I think that there is a few interesting twists here. So first off, it's from the male perspective. And a lot of times, especially in 2026, if you're getting a song about a toxic relationship, you are getting it from the female perspective. And I think that this is kind of an interesting twist where it's like a heavy song about a toxic relationship. Exact same topic as a lot of songs we get today, but it is very masculine. And so you get lyrics like, it's a little hard to leave when you're going down on me, because we were good in bed. It didn't matter what you said because we were good in bed. It's like very masculine perspective in terms of the lyrical choices. A couple things going on here, and I'm going to preface this by saying I know that breaking down lyrics like this is like, it's probably the least sexy thing you can do. It's like super, super unsexy to talk in detail about like sexual lyrics. But that is the nature of this show, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to do it. So basically, these lyrics are meant to be a couple things. They're meant to be reflective on the toxic relationship, maybe even evoking a sense of like, man, well, I was an idiot for getting into that. They're meant to be raunchy and sexual, so that there's a part of you that's like, man, the sex was so fucking good though. And then on top of that, they're meant to be kind of fun. Overall, this song doesn't take itself too seriously. And, that's kind of the interesting thing is like, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but they take the art of songwriting seriously while making this song. And so this is meant to be, first and foremost, kind of a fun song. But what I like about it, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it, is that despite being kind of a fun song, fun doesn't mean shallow. And I don't think that this is a shallow song. I actually think it's a pretty unique take, or not even a unique take, because you hear this take all the time. It's just that they took a very common song topic, which is toxic relationships, and they found a really specific niche for it, which is what does it feel like to kind of reflect on the toxic relationship? And then they were able to really hone in on that very well and kind of nail it. And this is really the meat and bones of why I wanted to talk about it, because you don't have to write a song about some specific random obscure thing to make a good song. You can write about something very normal, very common, even cliche. And if you just put the extra work in to get lyrics and vocal melodies and guitar parts and song structures that are interesting, you can get something really cool and really good. And, it's funny with this song in particular, because the song is not really what I think a lot of people would think of when they think of Nickelback. And I don't even know if I would consider it like a popular Nickelback song, but it has over 30 million views on Spotify last time I checked. Here, let me double check it again. But this song is definitely, oh shit, I did not mean to play it again from the start. Yeah, the song is by no means like an unpopular song. It's actually kind of a banger of a song. It's just that damn, it's not showing the do I have it? Hold on. There it is. Yeah, so it's got 35 million plays on Spotify, which is pretty good for a song that came out 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. Now, of course, compared to like Photograph has 390 million, Far Away has 500 million, Rockstar has 760 million. So it's like, okay, obviously this is a hugely popular album. It's kind of hard to compare it to it's maybe one thing to say that like, all right, this is a popular song. It's an unpopular song in comparison to the other songs on the album. Anyway, point being, it's a fairly standard song, but they just did a good job with it. And you can do that by having a unique perspective or a unique idea with it, good vocal melodies and cool lyrics. And so these lyrics, let's really dive into them because I think that they're cool. So he says, I guess it wasn't really right. I guess it wasn't meant to be. It didn't matter what they said because we were good in bed. I guess I stuck around so I could watch us fight for all the wrong reasons. Damn, I can't even say it. I guess I stuck around so I could watch us fight for all the wrong reasons. And he says, no, it didn't matter what I tried. It's just a little hard to leave when you're going down on me. I guess I stuck around so I could watch us fight for all the wrong reasons. Give me a second. I'm going to drink some water. Holy cow. It's a mouthful. And that was not innuendo. Anyway, so what's kind of funny with this perspective with these lyrics is that, again, they're very open to interpretation, not in terms of what he's talking about, but how you perceive them as a listener. It can be many different things to many different people. Some people could look at this and say like, God, what was I thinking being in that relationship? I stuck around for the wrong reasons. Other people could think, man, that relationship was definitely toxic, but I sure did love it. And so, yeah, it's cool the way that he's structured these lyrics to not really make a definitive statement yet, but to more of just explain like the conflicting feelings that you have, where it's like, it wasn't right, it wasn't meant to be, but we were good in bed. You know, everyone, you know, it didn't matter what I tried, didn't matter what they said. It's hard to leave when you're going down on me. So yeah, one song that this kind of reminded me of was that song, what was it? I Like the Way You Kiss Me by Artemis. It's a more recent song, like I Like the Way You Kiss Me, I Can Tell You Miss Me. I think he says like, I hit it from the back just so you don't get attached. Obviously this song is taking a bit of a different angle. I think that it actually has more like lyrical depth to it, which gives it more staying power, I believe, because I haven't heard anyone talk about Artemis or that song since it came out a year ago. But it's a similar vibe where like these types of lyrics, this kind of like raunchiness can be really fun. And it is. It's a fun song. It's a lot of fun to listen to. So, yeah. And honestly, I would rather get something like this that's a little raunchy from the male perspective, a little bit, talking about girls going down on him, than another fucking toxic relationship song from some modern day dude where he's just crying and, I'm so sad. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'm sick of that shit, bro. I'm sick of it. We need to bring back some white boy butt rock. Get the dad rock back. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. That's the vibe where the singer is conflicted. He was in a toxic relationship. He's thinking about it, and it was fun, but maybe not the best for him. Maybe they got a little dramatic. Maybe they're like throwing things at each other. But overall, we're kind of having fun. So yeah. Let's keep going. So we go back into the sort of dramatic pre-verse again. I forgot. I reset the damn song. My bad. Hold on. This is like my most scuffed episode ever. So we're back. Same thing. I'm just going to skip it. We get to verse 2. Cool. So everything's the same musically, nothing to really talk about. But, this is the second verse, and the second verse is, you know, it's meant to just kind of introduce a few more plot, you know, expand on the conflict. So when we first started in verse 1, I love doing this, by the way. And this is, if I could give anyone advice like analyzing lyrics, always analyze the first verse and compare it to the second verse and make sure that, like, okay, are you developing your story? Are you developing your theme or your idea? So in the first verse, he says, I wanted you, I wanted no one else. I got you to myself. But then he says, you got off every time you got onto me, and I got caught up in favorable slavery. Now, obviously, he says like favorable slavery. So he's like, maybe he kind of wanted it, but he is still implying like this girl just gets off on like either, you know, obviously getting on top of him, but also maybe talking down to him and like berating him and causing him problems. But now we get into verse 2 and we get a different side of this, where maybe in the first verse he was like, I wanted you, but then you turned out to not be what I expected. We get into verse 2 and it's, you know, my friends, they know your enemies, meaning, and that's your YOUR. So they know the trouble that this girl has gotten up to. So the friends don't like her. And so then our singer says, I'd pretend, our singer Chad Kruger, I'd pretend not to hear what they said to me, talking about his friends, because I got off every time you got onto me. Was it wrong to go along with insanity? So again, I want to be clear. We're not talking about like lyrical fucking masterpiece here, okay? We're not talking about that. But what we are talking about is just like, yeah, he is giving a new perspective. He's developing the conflict here, which was, you know, maybe in verse 1, oh, this girl is crazy. I was caught up in slavery. Now he's actually saying, no, I actually kind of liked it. And I got off every time he got onto me. You know, I didn't listen to my friend. My friends were telling me not to do that. I actually like was into it, you know? And he ends it with really that main point of conflict, which is, was it wrong to go along with insanity? Was it wrong to do this? Which actually, I wanted to bring this up. And this is something kind of interesting. This is a little bit of a nuance, but you don't hear this in a lot of songs. He's actually questioning, like, was it wrong to do that? And then in the chorus, he says, I guess it wasn't really right. I guess it wasn't meant to be. I know that could be like, oh, it was right. It was the wrong time or something. But no, I don't think so. I think he's saying like, what, it wasn't right for us to be together. It was the objectively like wrong thing to do. And I kind of like that. I don't know. I would need to look at other songs and see how often they talk about like, it was wrong for me to be with you, or it was right. I guess they do now that I think about it, but I just like the fact that he's questioned. Again, I think that it's just very on theme for the song. This idea of like, was that the wrong move? Did I make the right choice here? Was it, you know, maybe, I guess it wasn't really right. I guess it wasn't meant to be, but it's a little hard to leave when you're going down. I mean, you know, it's like, that is the conflict. Anyway, point being, this verse basically establishes that he wasn't just some like willing, like a slave, basically. Like he said, he wasn't just some slave caught up in it. He was into it. He was into it. He was digging it. And now that we have, that brings again that a little bit of a new perspective on the chorus, where it's like, maybe before we were thinking, man, this girl, she's really wearing him out, and he just kind of stuck around, and it was hard for him to leave, and he wanted to leave, he wanted out. But then we get this second side, which is, oh no, actually, I don't think he did. I think he was digging it. So yeah. Again, cool way to develop the story of the song without introducing unnecessary conflict, unnecessary things. I think like the biggest offender of this was I can't remember the exact song, Ariana Grande. It was one of the Ariana Grande songs I covered a few weeks or months ago. Hold on, let me get the exact song. Damn it, don't lost That Boy Is Mine. Yeah, I covered That Boy Is Mine by Ariana Grande. And yeah, in that song, the second verse is basically useless. It does nothing for the song. It's stupid. And so this is not that way. This is a cool second verse. So we get another chorus. Yeah, the pre-chorus is the same, where he says, was it wrong? Was it wrong? Let's hear it real quick. Insanity. It's a cool little was it wrong? Like, was it wrong? Was it wrong? Yeah, the chorus is the same as before, so we're just going to skip it. But then that gets us into the bridge sections. And so this is where, you know, the bridge of a song. So most songs have two choruses and then you get into your bridge. I think the bridge is like, I really like this quote from Sting. I think I've talked about it before, where he said the bridge is therapy. The bridge is where everything sort of gets recontextualized. And really it's the opportunity for you to be creative and do what you want, really. But it's even more so an opportunity to show kind of where your head's at with regards to the song, because the bridge is the climax of the song. And by I'm using bridge kind of loosely, I'm talking about the, you know, if you have a standard song structure, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, your bridge is where that's where you finalize whatever that song is about, the themes, the ideas, the tone, because you could put something sad in the bridge and it could recontextualize the whole song. So the bridge is very important and it's a really good place to be creative. So this song does something that I really like, which is basically it has multiple bridge sections. It has 3 bridge sections. The first bridge section, and each bridge section sort of addresses a different thing. So the first 2 bridge sections are primarily musical, and because we've had a whole lot of singing on this song aside from the intro and the pre-verses. The first 2 bridges are essentially musical and they embody the 2 different themes of the song. So we get bridge 1 is reflective, bridge 2 is very heavy, and then we get the third bridge, which acts as like a lyrical and narrative climax for the song. I don't want to talk about that one yet because I'm going to address when we get there, but I do want to point out, like, it's cool that they split the bridges up this way. So let's listen to them. Let's listen to the first bridge, which is like the sort of dramatic bridge. All right, so a couple things here. Again, this is the type of stuff that I really like, where there's just no wasted element on this song. So the pre-chorus, that little riff I mentioned earlier, that da-na, da-na, na-na, na-na, I guess it wasn't really right. They bring it back here as the basis for the breakdown, and it actually becomes its own thing for the breakdown. And it's a pretty cool little breakdown riff. It's a little like arrhythmic, like it doesn't quite line up with the snare. Listen to the snare drum in relationship to the guitar. Right. It's kind of weird. It's like it doesn't quite line up, but that's what makes it cool. I think the thing tying it together is that lead guitar in the background, which again, we've heard that delayed lead guitar tone before, so we're kind of sticking with it. Like we're bringing that sound back, so it wasn't just in those like pre-verses. It's a sound that is consistent throughout throughout the song. And then another thing that I think is really cool about this is that there is, because this riff is sort of arrhythmic, it doesn't quite line up. They needed a way to get it to repeat properly. And so what they did was they threw in this little like da-na-na-na. I skipped it. Hear that? Na-na-na-na. Listen to it here. Da-na-na-na. Da-da-da-na-da-na-da-na-na-na. And what that does is it's a perfect lead in for the second riff. It makes it flow into that second riff perfectly. So I just want to point out, like, this little motif of the da-na-na-na-na-na-na, they use it on the pre-chorus. They bring in the delay guitar from the pre-verse, and then they make the second half of the riff a lead in for the section that comes after this. There's just a lot of cohesiveness here. Like, they're bringing these things, these elements together and piecing it into this section. And it's not a long section, it's about 10 seconds. They didn't have to have it here, but it works really well. It's cool. It keeps the intensity up, and it kind of brings all of these elements together and makes it very cohesive. So then, anyway, I want to bring stuff I like bringing stuff like that up because I don't know if the average listener would put all of that together, like that was the same riff that you heard in the pre-chorus, or that the end of the riff perfectly leads into the next riff. It's just like those are things that are cool. And remember, I mentioned like the extra credit stuff, like that's cool. So yeah, anyway, we get into the next section, which is a little breakdown. All right, I'm gonna pause it there because so this riff here isn't, it's not like the most mind-blowing riff, but it's definitely like in a lot of ways, it is like the cover of the album. And again, like they knew what they were making, they knew what this is, and yeah, it sounds like muscle car music. It just does. And whether you like that or not is kind of up to you, but I really like it because I think that it's exactly what it's supposed to be and what they were going for, and it's the vibe of the song. And so yeah, this is like angry, raunchy, Midwestern driving around in my muscle car, Yeah. The drum beat is super simple here, just do 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 do. Wait, hold on, I've got the beat wrong. Yeah, do do ba do 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 ba do 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 ba do 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 ba. Definitely like the most driving, like no pun intended, driving heavy section of the song. We're getting that consistent double kick. Do, 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 do. Yeah, so we're still building up as well. Like this is all just ramping up. We're going up and we're building up in intensity. So yeah, then we get the vocals here. And so we've had throughout this song that like distorted vocal in the background that is kind of like that voice. And I think that they did it on purpose to be like that voice in the back of your head, almost like a little demon on your shoulder telling you like, it's all good, dude. Have sex with her. It's fine. Like, just keep seeing her. She's hot. Like, who cares if she throws, bottles at you at night? Like, who cares if she sliced your tires, bro? Just keep seeing her, man. I think this is where that comes to a head, right? And it makes sense. This is the most like heavy section of the song. And so he's got this distorted vocal, singing honestly pretty raunchy little lyrics. Here, so you can. So what's funny is they're almost indecipherable on their own, which is probably good. They're pretty raunchy. I don't, let me be clear. I know that they're not like that raunchy. I've heard songs. I'm just saying like for what this song is, it's raunchier than what you might expect, where he says like so the lyrics are, I'm the best when I stick it on your chest. I know you don't care. I can stick it anywhere. On the bus, it's the best when I blow it on your chest. I know you don't care. I can shove it anywhere. So yeah, again, like blow it on your chest. It's like, all right, we're getting. What's funny is even with as raunchy as that is, you could even say it's a bit of a double entendre too, because he could be talking about like just punching her. I mean, it's kind of, again, we're talking about small town toxic relationship. It's very much in the cards. So, which in a lot of ways, if we're talking about this is the pinnacle of that raunchy side, the chaotic raunchy side of the relationship, you have the peak sexuality element, but you also have like the peak, like chaotic, violent element of it too. So it's like, it's working. Like, I know it sounds strange and it's a little crass, but it's like, it actually all is working really well. So yeah. That's about it. So yeah, we've had the two bridge sections. And so that brings us into this next section. Well, real quick. I did want to say something. I had one more note. I forgot about it, where he said, I mentioned that this is like raunchy, and I'm using that word sort of as a placeholder for the emotion or like the idea behind it, which is really that there was a side of him that enjoyed being with her. There was a side of him that was like, yeah, that shit was hot, dude. Like, and he got into it. And that's what this section represents, is like the peak of his desire to be with her, which maybe wasn't healthy. He even describes it as insanity, but that's what makes it so compelling. You know, we've all kind of been there in toxic relationships, right? Is that sometimes you think, what are you doing? And then it's like, but you still go along with it. And like he said, it's a little hard to leave when you're going down on me. So that's the thing, right? It's like that's what this section represents. It's like the pinnacle of that. But then we get the next section, and I'm just going to let this play because I think it's really cool. Which also, he's got a really nice like scream going into it. All right, so again, we're bringing back going into that section, you bring back that little like, and then we get out of it. So this section, though, it is the true climax of the song. This part is great. Like this is a great section. I want to talk very briefly about the music. So musically, we just have rhythm guitar playing at the beginning, which is unique. It's actually a unique way to start this section, having just vocals and rhythm guitar here. And then the lead guitar comes in, as well as drums, which kind of build up the intensity. Get that little hi-hat. And then we get a snare roll to build it up. So yeah, that's what's going on musically. Lyrically, he is saying, I guess it wasn't what I wanted, wasn't really what I thought it was the day I got it, I want it all to go away. Right? They say, I thought it was the day I got, but I think it's implying like, thought it was the day I got it. And then he says, I want it all to go away. So there's a lot to say about this section. So first off, if the prior section was like that peak raunchiness where he's like, oh, just on the bus, it's the best, you know, it's, if that's like peak raunchiness, this is like reflection. This is like that self-reflection. You can even say like little, you know, post-orgasm clarity happening here, maybe. But really what it is this is the self-reflection. This is that inner monologue of like all the conflicting thoughts going through his head, and the confusion that comes with it. And so, you know, and I always love it when artists are able to like kind of show, don't tell. I know that's like super basic, show, don't tell, but it's amazing how many musicians today just don't seem to understand that. Because you can show things with music. You can actually show it with the sound. And so the fact, I know it's simple, but the fact that the vocals are actually bouncing around the stereo spectrum, like you have one line in the right speaker, one line in the left speaker, then on the right again, it's bouncing around. Like, listen for that. Listen to how each line. Really I thought it was a day I got, I want it all to go away. Now, what's funny is he actually has. So let's talk about this from like a musical perspective now that we've kind of addressed the vocals, where he's saying like, I thought it was I wanted, you know, I guess it wasn't what I wanted, but I thought it was the day I got it. I wasn't really what I thought. I just wanted it all to go away. All right, that's what's going on lyrically. Let's talk about the musicality of this. It's almost difficult to break this down because of how many vocal tracks are going on here. I'd say there's easily five because you have at least two in the middle, and then you have each individual line being spoken, but then the lines are all overlapping. And so that gets us up to six, because if, you know, I guess it wasn't what I wanted is harmonized, and then that goes over wasn't really what I thought, and that's also harmonized. That's four right there. And then you have two vocals at least, bare minimum, in the middle, sort of doing the ambient thing. And I think it's the same, I'm pretty sure it's the same ambience that we heard at the beginning of the song here. Yeah, it's the same. So if we listen back here, I think that's 4. I could be wrong. It's hard to tell. It's mixed really well, and he did a great job with it. It's tough to tell. I think it's at least 4. I think there's 2 highs and 2 lows, maybe even 5 with like a little background, like another harmony in there that's kind of buried in. The point being is that this is not a simple section. There was a lot of effort and care put into this. It is very difficult to compose something like this, way more difficult than you would think. And so, yeah, it accomplishes a couple things. First off, it just gives the song compositional depth. It just shows that the people who made the song are not like amateur musicians. They know how to harmonize, how to layer things, how to put things together. They are talented musicians. They had a talented producer. This isn't like amateur hour here. Whatever your thoughts are on Nickelback, like you can't be bad at music and make something like this. Like this is difficult to do. Second thing, from a thematic standpoint, it highlights the confusion and the inner turmoil of the relationship. It actually portrays it to us with the vocals going back and forth. Again, that's awesome. And that's kind of the whole idea of the song, is like him being confused, thinking about the relationship in the past tense, trying to work it out. And the fact that like he was able to, the fact that they showed that so well here, it's probably the best way I've ever heard a toxic relationship get portrayed, or one of the best ways, at least, through just the music, like no lyrics at all. But then when we get to the lyrics, and this is like a really important thing, I think a lot of times songs are kind of nervous to give a final say on like what the point of the song is. I think this song did a good job of kind of doing it, but also not really doing it, because listen to the way he says the final line, which is, "I want it all to go away." Right here, sorry. I thought I had it. So the way I interpret that, now maybe I'm wrong. Again, you could interpret it many ways, but the fact that he does end it with, "I want it all to go away," means, I think it implies that he is sort of done with the relationship. He wants to move past it. I want this turmoil and this confusion and chaos to go away. So by doing that, from a lyrical and like a story standpoint, it gives us kind of a potential resolution to the song. How I mentioned, like Sting said, the bridge is therapy. It recontextualizes the song. In this case, he's saying very clearly with that last, "I want it all to go away." It's like, that's the final say that we really get from him, is like, he's done with it. Pretty cool. He didn't have to do that. And they could have just left it confusing, but I think that, and with the way that it's implemented into the song, it's not like final, right? It's not like that's what he's saying. He's saying, don't get into a toxic relationship, they're bad. It's not really that serious, but it also, again, like a song can be fun and it can not take itself too seriously, but it could still be deep and like have meaning and have a full, complete story. And so to me, like that final, "I want it all to go away," gives us a little bit of like narrative closure on the song, which is cool. Like it's okay for a song to actually have like an ending and a point that you're supposed to take away from it. Not everything needs to be floating in the sea of interpretation and like undecipherable and shit like that. Like you can just say like, "Yeah, I kind of regret the relationship. I want it all to go away." And that's fine. He could have also said like he could have said, "I want it all to go away, but I want you back." He could have said something like that too, and it would be just as valid. Like it's like, basically the idea is, having a conclusion. That's essentially what I'm saying. It's nice to have a conclusion to the song, or at least you can interpret a conclusion to it at least. So yeah, this section overall, fantastic. I mean, this is like grade A shit. I mean, seriously, this is above average work from Nickelback. And I don't think most people have heard this song, but it's, you know, the first time I heard this section, I was at the gym and I just was like, yo, like, what are they doing? Like, what the hell? Like, this is cool. Like, this is really cool. And I'm a sucker for these types of like vocal harmony types of things because they're tough. I mean, it's not easy to do. And it's not easy to do well. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, just all the harmonies and everything, very tough to compose something like that. And to have it fit so well from a thematic and a narrative standpoint, again, that's the extra credit stuff. That's the stuff, like, that's that extra little bit that shows that they put a lot of care and attention into the song. And yeah, they should get some appreciation for it. I'm giving them their flowers for it. It's really cool. So yeah, anyway, with all that said, we go back to the chorus. So the only difference with this third chorus is that we have a couple of like little, I call them echoes, but basically it's like additional background layers that kind of repeat the lines. So you'll hear it like he says, I guess it wasn't really right, wasn't really right, you know. I guess it wasn't really right, wasn't really right, it was meant to be, or it wasn't meant to be, you know. You know, the little background vocals there, nothing crazy, but then we that's the only change, and then we get a very quick outro. Yeah, cool little outro. I ended it maybe like here. It just fades out. So you got that delay, fade out again, kind of again the reflections. But for real though, that like tortured scream, like he's so frustrated, he's so over it. Ah! And then you get those little guitar notes that hold out. So yeah, perfectly fine outro. I wouldn't even call it an outro really. It's just like a end to the chorus, a little extended ending. And that's it. That's the song. We made it through. Heck yeah. Okay, so a couple final notes. So why did I do this song in general? I know I talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but let's just really cap it off. Yeah, a song doesn't need to reinvent the wheel to be good. Like, you can make a normal song, follow the rules, put that little bit of extra effort in, like put attention and care into your sections and the cohesiveness of your music, your theme, your lyrics, and the structure, and you can make something really solid, really, really great. This song, you know, this band in general might not be people's favorites, but it's one of the only songs on the album that I didn't have any nostalgia for. Like, I had zero nostalgia. This was basically like a brand new song for me. And I was quite surprised. It is heavy, it's raunchy, it's dramatic, but it's also a lot of fun. It's, you know, really like, it's a nice lifting song. It's, again, it's not blowing anyone's minds. It's not like, I mean, I've heard plenty of music and it's not like, oh my God, I'd never heard something like this before. But like, I was very surprised at how tight this song was and how well it portrayed a toxic relationship, but did so in a way that wasn't so heavy and wasn't so like weighty. It was just kind of fun and crazy. Yeah, a lot of cohesiveness here. I think, and I think one of the reasons I really wanted to bring it up was because just following the basic rules of songwriting, which is, I'm not saying like, oh, you have to structure your song a certain way or whatever. I think a lot of artists today are obsessed with superseding the rules before they even understand them. You know, like so many songs today don't even do verse, chorus, bridge, chorus anymore, because that's cliche. That's not the normal way. Like, oh, TikTok brains can't follow along. But it's like, no, there was a reason why those songs worked. And honestly, I think they still work. I think that we have really fooled ourselves into thinking, oh, well, we got to make them shorter. We got to do that. Like, no, the song still needs to have like narrative cohesion. There still needs to be, you know, a build up and a climax and a come down and like a flow to the song. Otherwise, if the song is just right here for a minute and then it ends and you just got a minute long song, there's no reason to go back to it. There's no reason for it to stick. You know, I think a good example is like Kanye just released a new album, Bully, a few weeks ago. And I listened to it twice. And I just was like, man, I have no reason to go back to these songs. These songs are meaningless. They're just ideas. There's no point to any of this. Versus you go and you listen to some of his older stuff where he did kind of follow the structural rules, and there was a very clear flow to the songs and a meaning and a purpose to the songs that he was able to portray with his lyrics and with his production. And that's why they stuck. That's why they were meaningful songs. And once you understand that, then you can play with it, right? Then you can do whatever you want with songs, really. But if you're just saying, oh, I'm going to write a minute and a half long song with no chorus, and the lyrics, there's like one verse, and then I just scream for 30 seconds, and that's my song, why is that going to stick with anybody? What is the vibe? What is the point? There's no purpose to it. It's just sort of this floating, it's just here. It's like, cool, you made sounds, you made music, and it's there, but there's no reason or deeper meaning for it to stick with anybody. It's just kind of, oh, that's really cool, and then no one really remembers it. And I think that's why we have a big problem with our music today, where it's like it's so shallow and nothing really seems to stick for at least longer than like a few weeks, if they're lucky, right? And yeah, I again, it's funny going back to a song like this from 20 years ago and just being like, yo, this is a good song. And it kind of sticks. Like it was memorable. It was memorable enough for me to keep listening to the album and then to actually say, you know what? This is the song that I'm going to break down. The one that I don't have memories of, I don't have nostalgia for, kind of a new song to me, but it's so cohesive and cohesively like well put together that it makes me just want to say, yeah, like I want to, like, let's do this one. There's a lot to talk about here, you know? So again, like, learn the rules, understand, like, and generally, like, the structure of a song follows the structure of a story, right? The 3-act structure of a story, like, you know, the introduction, introducing the conflict, developing the conflict, getting to a climax of the conflict, and then a resolution, right? Like, that's how it goes, and it goes like that for a reason. There's an inherent appeal to the human psychology of that structure. So if you don't understand it and you're just superseding it, if you don't know what you're doing, then you are just doing the thing that is the opposite of what humans inherently like. And good luck, I guess. But anyway, I mean, that's getting a little heavy there. So yeah, anyway, I just thought that this was a cool one to pick. And yeah, Nickelback isn't like in my top 10 bands or anything like that, but they're not, I've always been a defender. They're definitely not like worth the whole like, oh, Nickelback sucks meme. They're a cool band. They knew what they were doing when they did it. They made some super huge bangers. Like, some of their songs are just great. I think like Saving Me, Far Away, Rockstar, those are great songs. And so, yeah, if that's all. I just wanted to highlight like the importance of following the simple rules, keeping things straightforward. You can still make something really good, even if you're not reinventing the wheel. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. Give this song and album a genuine listen. So let's finish this out with my little like last notes. So what's the purpose of the song? What is the telos? I'm going to try to start using that. The telos. That's like the Greek study of the purpose of a thing. The purpose was to create a song that portrayed a toxic relationship that is both raunchy and heavy and fun, but also with some depth and with a bit of self-reflection and insight. So it's not just stupid fun. It's actually like a bit of a meaningful song, but it's not taking itself too seriously. Genre style, it is dad rock. It's unk rock, post-grunge, whatever you want to call it. Song structure, super standard, but with some cool interlude sections. You know, most bands, you're lucky if you get one good interlude section. They put 3 in here. It's really solid, with one great one, which brings me to the composition. This song is surprisingly complex. It's deceptively complex. There are a ton of vocal harmonies, lots of cool riffs. Having the delayed leads in there is really cool. Like both of the delayed leads, there's one that's really cool in that first bridge section. And then the verse lead is very cool as well. The vocal melodies are all really good. Lots of great vocal harmonies, not even in like those like angelic sections, but even in the chorus and the verse, really smooth harmonies in those sections that give it a little bit of extra character. And then, the pinnacle of the composition is the climax, which is very well made, very difficult to create something like that and make it work. And they did it perfectly. It fits exactly with the song. The mix is very full, very lively. Definitely, that full mid 2000s sound. But there is enough clarity there to hear like little details, hear like those background vocals, those little echoes and things like that. So very smooth, easily palatable mix. Lyrical content, it is a bit raunchy, but not so raunchy that it sounds immature. There's these little sexual lines in there. Most of them are double entendres, meaning like they are sexual on one end, but then also a little violent, a little bad on the other end. I think, it's a little hard to leave when you're going down on me. Obviously, there's a sexual undertone there, but there is also like, when someone's talking down to you, like she's talking down to him. So cool the way that those lyrics kind of do that and they portray this relationship, which kind of brings us to the theme. The song is a reflection on a toxic relationship and the conflicting feelings that that our narrator has once that relationship is over. Why was he participating in it? I say he, but I don't think that this song is gender specific at any point. And in fact, I mean, honestly, like the girls really liked Nickelback. At least my mom did. My mom and her friends did. Yeah, I don't think there's anything gendered on this song aside from those raunchy lyrics where he says like, I can shove it anywhere. I can stick it anywhere. So I even think that you could approach this, like a girl could listen to this song and get just as much enjoyment out of it as a man. Just that conflict, but that's the idea is like, what happens when you are in a very toxic relationship, all your friends tell you to get out of it, you're not supposed to be in it, and then it's over. What is that like? And I think they did a good job portraying that. I think they did a very interesting job portraying that, because this is a very overplayed topic. So final verdict, final thoughts. This song is not by any means reinventing the wheel. It's a pretty normal song in a lot of ways. There's just a lot of care and attention that was put into it being like a normal, like into what it is, that helps it accomplish its goals very well. That attention to detail along with the thematic consistency make it a very fun listen. And I think it's worth your time. I think this whole album's actually worth your time. I think the album is like an underrated banger. So is it like 10 out of 10? Oh my God, this is changing my life. No, but it is also very fun. And I hope that you go and listen to it and you enjoy it. And maybe if you didn't like Nickelback, hopefully this gives you a little bit more appreciation for him. So that's about it. Made it through. Hold on. I just talked a lot, my voice. So that is all I've got. Hope you enjoyed the episode. It's nice getting back to these. I know I've been away for a while and my, just trying to get back on the bandwagon. But yeah, that's it. This is the worst outro of all time. Stick around. Go watch the clips. Go like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I would appreciate it. And yeah, see you on the next one. Bye.